So I want to talk about people that have been in narcissistic abusive relationships. Um, on this channel, I want to talk about relationships. I want to talk about, I just want to be myself. Um, but I want to talk about today how narcissistic abusive relationships, how has it affected you? I think a lot of people are ashamed of what they went through, and they're ashamed of how broken they may feel. I was married to a narcissist for 13 years. And out of all my years in this life, my biggest regret, we all have regrets, right? But my biggest regret in life was the day that I laid eyes on this person. It was the day that I allowed this person to even breathe on me. That's how much I don't hate this person. I forgive this person because I am a Christian and I do believe in forgiveness. I forgive this person, but I was new in the Christian walk when I met this person, and I didn't know what boundaries were. I just learned in my later years what boundaries are. I grew up in a home with a narcissistic parent, so I just learned what a narcissist was. Like, I didn't even know I didn't know what that was until recently. Probably within the last, maybe 3 years is when I really learned what narcissistic abuse was, what a narcissist is. You knew, like, for you that are learning now or know, like growing up, looking back, you knew something was off if you grew up with a parent that was narcissistic. You knew something was wrong, but you just didn't know exactly what was the reason, what was causing it. You didn't have a description for it, but you knew something was wrong. And because this is the way you grew up, you were conditioned to accept certain things in life. You were conditioned to, see relationships in a certain way. And I think that's why we end up marrying or dating narcissists, a lot of people that grew up with parents in narcissistic homes, because you don't know any better. Like, I grew up having this, like, I'm not good enough. You know what I mean? I always felt like I wasn't enough or good enough. Or I always felt like I was invisible. It was like nothing that I did was ever, enough. And so I carried that from childhood into adulthood. And sometimes, you're seeking for love and validation in the wrong places. And I think, now that I've learned what love bombing is, because you've been deprived of feeling like you matter or feeling like you've been seen, because these people, when they come to you, they love bomb you so well. You feel seen, you feel validated, and you fall for it, and you skip over the red flags. But some of the red flags, you don't even see them as red flags, because, like I said, you grew up in certain toxic environments, so it just seems normal to you. So, a lot of people will judge you or judge us, people that have been in these relationships, and they'll look at us or see you and think that it's something wrong with you. Like, how did you end up with a person like this? Why would you put up with the things that you put up with? And I'm not saying that everybody's situation is the same, but a lot of times it's normal. You know what I mean? The toxic behavior that you see, it's something that is familiar to you. And these people carry a lot of demonic spirits with them, and it's a lot of familiar spirits with them. And when I met this person, I wasn't, I didn't know God when I met this person. I got saved, maybe a few months or maybe a year after I met this person. And I was new in the faith. And somewhere in my spirit, I knew that I should not have married this person. But because I was new in the faith, I figured I could pray. I could fast. God can do anything. God can heal anybody. God can deliver anybody. I had such big faith in that, God could change him. You know what I mean? And God warned me through somebody, in the church that I was going to. But I felt like, oh, they're just jealous. You know what I mean? The devil doesn't want our relationship to work out. I was delusional. You know what I mean? I was so in love with this person. I was delusional. It's almost as if these people, because like I said, these people operate with a lot of demonic entities within them. So now that I know better, a lot of what they are doing is a form of witchcraft. It's almost as if you are under some type of love spell. The manipulation, the love bombing, the sexual encounters that you have with them, it all ties into me. I feel like it's all a part of some type of love spell. Because any of you that have been in a narcissistic abusive relationship, if you have gotten out and you realize when you look at them after you're out, you don't even love them anymore. You don't even know what you saw in them. When I see this person now, and I was so in love with this person. I was so in this, he was my husband. I was married to him. But I was so in love with this person that now that I'm divorced from him, when I see him, I'm utterly, I'm not trying to be mean, but I'm disgusted. Like it was almost as if I was under some type of spell. And I do believe some of them do operate, like I said, in a form of witchcraft. And you are under some type of demonic soul tie, some type of demonic love spell. And I'm not saying that they all, did an actual love spell. But like I said, these demonic entities have such a strong hold on you, especially when you're intimate with these people. Intimacy is such a spiritual act. That's why we have to be careful who we are, laying down with. Whether this is your husband or not. Yes, he was my husband and God saw him as my husband. But at the same time, God also warned me not to marry this person, but I totally disregarded it. And because I went into this marriage, I still had to honor this man as my husband because God is not going to go back on his word. Now, towards the end, God did tell me to leave. He told me to leave. But I just want to ask, do any of you understand the reasons why you may have ended up in a relationship like this? Can you connect the dots to maybe your childhood or something with you that allowed you to end up with people like this? I'm not trying to shame anybody, but I just always think that it's something with us. And I'm not saying there's something wrong with you. Like, all of us have our flaws. We all have our insecurities. We all have things within us that need to be healed. And a lot of us are broken. It's a lot of broken people. And I'm not ashamed. On this channel, I'll talk about my vulnerability and brokenness. I am in Christ. But sometimes the church will make you feel like it's not okay to speak about, when you're struggling with depression, or you're struggling with brokenness, or you're struggling with, a lot of things. Yes, we have to have faith, and we have to believe what God believes about us. Yes, we do all those things, but there are still people out here that, they struggle. And I feel like a lot of people that have never been in a narcissistic relationship, they will never understand the damage that it does to your spirit, to your emotions, to your mind, the way you see yourself. I don't think that people can actually relate. It's not I think they cannot relate if they've never experienced it. So to them, it just sounds like a bunch of people just, speaking about the past. It's not about holding on to the past. It's about opening up about what you went through so that you can heal, so that you can move forward. Because a lot of people bottle this up. They bottle it up with shame. I mean, I was ashamed for so long. I dealt with a lot of shame. A lot of people develop, and I'm going to do a separate, discussion about the health issues. Like a lot of people, if anybody wants to talk about, or in the comments, have you dealt with a narcissist, and were you in a long-term relationship with one, and did you develop like health issues? I developed like all kind of autoimmune issues, gut issues, that today God is still healing me. He's still, getting me through this. And a part of me felt like, okay, I tried to do the right thing. You know what I mean? You tried to love these people. And it's as if I felt like I walked away so damaged, and I felt like this person just skips off into the sunset, as if nothing happened. And I'm left here with this rubble of my life left, and I have to pick up all the pieces. And I had some resentment. I had some resentment towards God for a while. You know what I mean? It's not that I'm blaming God. And you'll have some insensitive people that will say, well, oh, it's your fault. You know what I mean? Nobody told you to stay with this person. But I had to explain to somebody, we all are not built the same. Mentally, emotionally, we all have not lived the same lives. We all didn't grow up the same. We all don't have the same mindset and makeup. And there's certain things that people have experienced in life that condition them to see life in a certain way and to deal with certain things in a certain way. So I don't shame people for, things that they've gone through, things that they've accepted, things that they, that somebody else would say, oh, I would never do that, or I would never put up with that. You know what I mean? You're not the same. It's things that somebody else might put up with that you might not, and vice versa. So I don't shame people for that. You know what I mean? We're all built the same. I mean, we're all built different. We're not the same. But yeah, I don't know. I always sit and wondered, was I alone? I always felt alone. I couldn't talk to my friends. I couldn't tell, friends or like family what I was going through. Only like those somewhat close to me, like my, my son experienced a lot of the abuse as well. And I regret that. I regret allowing him to be around that. I regret it because it affected him too. So, yeah, I just want to talk about that. And I'm not going to keep going and rambling for too long, but I just want to let people know out there that have dealt with these people, if you are still dealing with, like, shame, you feel alone, because sometimes I struggle with depression because of, the damage that happened to me physically. I don't think people understand that. Like, if you're dealing with health issues from dealing with a person like that, the healing process is sometimes it's not just the emotional healing that you have to go through, it's the physical healing. And sometimes it's debilitating. So I just want anybody out there that have dealt and, been in these type of relationships to know that it's okay if you still struggle sometimes. I pray that whoever finds this, if you don't have a relationship with Christ, I pray that you do, because I would not be able to make it. I would not be able to make it through the days without God, without Christ. I wouldn't. I think that if Christ was not in my life, after going through what I went through, I would be, there were many times I was suicidal, but I think I probably would have attempted. You know what I mean? I don't know if I can say suicidal on here, or I don't know what the terms are, but yeah, I probably would have tried to unalive myself because of the emotional damage. You know what I mean? But in God, in Christ, He will hold you. He will carry you through. He will carry you through. And I know it sounds cliche, but He will carry you through. But it's nothing wrong with being vulnerable with God and telling Him that you are struggling, because when you open up to Him, that's when He can come in and do it. And that's when He can come in and comfort you, send people to comfort you. But as long as you keep that shame bottled up and don't open up, there's no healing in that. So I'm going to talk more about this, because I feel like it's a lot of people out here that are struggling, and I'm praying for you. I'm praying for you because I know what you went through. I know the damage that was done. A lot of people are not going to understand, and I'm praying for you. I'm praying for your healing. Thank you for watching.